I would love that Game Pass would be less expensive, better quality, and overall a better experience for us, the consumers. I would love that Xbox would be able to go back in time and once again be a pinnacle of quality in the games industry and create hit after hit after hit. The better the games, the happier I am as a gamer. But nowadays, things go exactly the opposite direction. And there currently are a lot of people, who are currently under the belief that Asha Sharma, the Nepo baby, probably glow plant, put in charge of Xbox gaming, who has no experience as a gamer, whose account was literally 3 days old when she got the job and completely faked, who only has done AI, including such great products as Microsoft Copilot, the thing that keeps turning itself on when you don't want it to and logs out your PC. People think that she's gonna actually make Xbox better. Yes. And the newest thing is people believe that she is gonna make Game Pass cheaper. People actually believe that she's gonna make Game Pass cheaper. The Nepo baby is gonna make Game Pass cheaper. Yes, unironically, there's a lot of people who believe this. In the current day and age, where for the last decade and a half, nothing has ever gone down in price. Food, living, any expenses, pick anyone, and it has never gone down in price. There's some people who unironically believe, oh yeah, she's gonna make Xbox Game Pass cheaper. No. No. Why would you ever believe that? It is pure. It is the most fundamental, purest of copes I have seen so far.
It's because I think the realities of the industry started to hit Xbox, as we'll talk about today. They've been losing money on their games and they need to make it up somewhere. And they kind of accepted that with the growth not being there with Game Pass, where they wanted to hit like 100 million subscribers, and they just
I think this matters a lot. I think this perfectly shows the big problem currently with Xbox. And that is the problem, that people are just accepting that games are not going to make profit for Xbox. Every game company that currently exists because they make a game that makes profit. The only company that does not do this is currently Xbox. Every other company is looking as making games as a way of generating revenue, except Xbox. How is Xbox ever going to become better if they fundamentally can't understand the idea that making games should make money by default?
eat over 30, that it's time just to kind of bleed those who are there dry, get your $30 a month, even if like a bunch of people unsubscribe in the millions, you're probably going to get a lot of people who are still going to stick around and perhaps make up that difference. But this all kind of came back to a race to the bottom for Xbox. And that's why when this news headline had popped up here from GameSpot, which said new Xbox CEO can make Game Pass less expensive, there was part of me.
Yeah, this is an insane idea that it's ever going to get it less expensive.
That, like, I don't want to say shuddered. That's a little extreme, but I definitely looked at it and went, well, we did this already. I'm not saying get rid of Game Pass by any means, but it's definitely not an easy problem to solve. But the benefit Asha has, as I'll talk about here, is that she's seen like all the different pricing moves for Game Pass, and she has that data, whereas like Phil, Matt, and Sarah were kind of flying into uncharted space with this. But let's just quickly refresh on this story in case you don't remember what's going on with Game Pass, but also
that's not exactly how it works.
Important building block for the latest memo that is leaked out of Xbox, which these memos aren't leaks. Like, I'm sure you all are with me on this. Like, they're deliberately leaking this.
Yes, every big company constantly does the leak thing because people don't care about the news, but they do care about the leaks.
stuff to kind of feel out what the public sentiment's going to be, because now we're starting to hear again that Game Pass could be less expensive. What are the ideas here? How are people feeling about it? That's what Xbox is trying to find out here. Here's what Game Informer wrote, or Game Informer, oh my God, GameSpot. The information reported that one of our ambitions is to make future consoles and products like Game Pass more enticing to a broader range of customers. To that end, the report said that Asha Sharma might look to revamp pricing models for Game Pass to offer a lower priced tier.
People, yes, this is it. People are looking at this and saying, oh my God, Xbox is going to be more cheaper. No, this, guys, this literally means Xbox Game Pass is going to be more expensive. This type of stuff has happened already countless times with Xbox, Netflix, literally any subscription service you can imagine has done this. And every single time this is worse for the consumers. All the end game here for Xbox is probably adding ads. They already have experimented for ads in the browser or whatever for like a year or something like that. It's a thing that's coming. This is literally just like, okay, your premium edition now has ads in it. Don't want the ads? Buy the premium plus edition. That's going to be, instead of $25 now, $35. But you don't get to watch the ads. And you can use the free Xbox subscription with one game every month, or two games free every month. You know, games that literally no one gives a shit about. Well, at the start, there's going to be actually some big games that people actually do care or talk about. And you can play these games, but you gotta watch some ads, buddy. Oh yes, remember Tide? Yeah, Tide Pods. The only good thing you can do with them is eat. I'm sorry, YouTube, but that was a joke. Do not, YouTube, please, relax, okay? I like my money. And it's going to be that sort of situation. Every single time someone talks about price restructuring, it's worse for the consumers. It's lower quality for more pay, divided into groups, where every single group is like $3 less or $3 more, so you just pick the highest one because that finally doesn't put ads. And after a year or two, when no one buys it anymore, when all the money has been acquired and the investors demand more value generation, aka money, they're gonna do this again, and now you're gonna be paying $40 for no ads or $35 with 2 ads, because this is how the game works. This is the future of Xbox. They're just going to put ads into your stuff.
They said in the terms of a lower price tier for Game Pass, it's been reported that Microsoft could offer an ad-based tier for Game Pass in the future. And there was this April Fool's joke that I want to say it was Insider Game.
Also, by the way, something that no one's talking about, one thing that doesn't make sense is the fact that there's a lot of people who are contributing this to Asha Sharma. And this does not make any sense. This is probably Phil Spencer, by the way, still. Because Phil and the people at Xbox, you know, Black Mommy or whatever her name is. I call her Black Mommy. Anyway, yeah, she didn't even know she's getting fired before Asha came in. Phil Spencer probably also didn't actually know what's going to happen, that he's going to be replaced by a diversity hire. None of them did. So all of these things that are currently happening are probably from Phil Spencer, because Asha Sharma cannot come in and announce these things, because they would never announce these things in the very beginning. You never announce any projects at the very, 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 very beginning, because at the very beginning you don't know if this is actually a good idea. You're kind of just scoping things out. So these things need to already have been in the pipeline. And now Asha is just taking credit effectively for what other people have done. So what Asha Sharma currently has done, no one knows even. She hasn't done anything. But again, looking at her background, the fact that she has done AI, and people who talk about AI say that she doesn't actually know or understand anything about AI, which seems very on point. What does she even do currently? I don't know.
did it, and they called it like the Game Pass Flex tier, and it read so true. I was like, this is a cruel fucking April Fool's joke, bro. It read so accurately, and I'm starting to get the feeling that like that. I mean, I could see that being the name, the Flex option. Like, yeah, play for free, but you're gonna watch ads. And I don't know, man. I mean, there's two ways this could go, and both of them I'm not a huge fan of, as I already kind of aired out, so I'll keep this brief. But just there's like paying for ads, which I think Netflix does and HBO does. Like, hey, you're going to pay us $8 a month and you'll get our content, but you're also going to get ads. And there's just free games with ads. And I mean, I think in both cases, like games just aren't built to have ads as part of the experience. If you're watching it going into the experience, I guess you could do worse, but like what, they're going to make you watch one ad and then people are going to just leave their Xboxes on the whole time. So there's got to be something that interrupts it, I think. Beyond that, Asha Sharma is looking into a Netflix partnership where literally this was confirmed by Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters. He says they've kicked around ideas for how they could work together, which...
This is probably a lie. Again, there is literally no world where the people, the heads of Xbox, would not have known that Asha Sharma is coming in if she did any of these things. All of this is fake. Asha Sharma has not done any of this. And they're just lying. There's no way. Now, granted, this is just based off the fact that Xbox wants to do work with Netflix. Because, I mean, so far it has worked pretty well with Amazon Prime and most things. Currently, the new hot thing in Hollywood is, oh, which game franchise can we vocify and destroy next? That's kind of the big thing in Hollywood. So, obviously, this is a thing that they are looking into. But Asha Sharma has not done any of this. Because, again, Phil Spencer and everyone else had no idea they're getting fucking fired. And if Asha Sharma was doing these things, they would have known. They would have known that some rando person is just randomly talking on their behalf with all these big people. Yeah, that's not a thing. So this is a lie, and this is easily to tell a lie if you know how business works.
Is crazy, you know. So again, they're kind of feeling out these ideas. And now we have a leaked memo here that comes from The Verge. Their article is paywalled. So what I've got here is IGN, where they write, the new Xbox CEO Asha Sharma has reportedly shared a memo with Microsoft employees that stated Game Pass has become too expensive for players. There we go. There's someone who's paying attention. The Verge reported on Sharma's shift in strategy, sharing details from an internal message sent to employees that it received today. As Game Pass has increased...
I hope she explains this shift in strategy as an allegory for Indian street food.
Prices for players in recent years, it appears Sharma is looking into the gaming subscription service in the hopes of creating a more flexible system. What this kind of tells us is that they're not really looking to get rid of it. That probably would have leaked by now. They're looking to adjust pricing and try to maybe stabilize it. When I see these headlines, I'm like, okay, is Game Pass doing worse than we thought it was? Like, did they lose way more subscribers after that Game Pass?
Yes! Of course Game Pass is doing... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. A mandatory bi-weekly reminder that Game Pass is doing great. I forgot we actually did this. Because, I mean, I have been here saying for literally a year and a half or 2 years that Game Pass is a disaster. Every single financial thing points in the direction that Game Pass is failing. And yet, oh no, Game Pass is doing actually great. You're just a hater. That's no way. I can't. There is nothing I can say to convince some people, okay? They're gonna be Game Pass is doing great until Game Pass goes bankrupt, even then they're gonna say, but Game Pass did great. Oh, man.
Price hike than we anticipated. That would be interesting if one day Xbox ever decided to share numbers on that, but you know, that'll be a thing that we continue to rely on leakers for. Anyway, this article's got a lot more to it. Game Pass is central to gaming value on Xbox, writes Asha Sharma. It's also clear that the current model isn't the final one, the memo said. Short term, Game Pass has become too expensive for players, so we need a better value equation. Long term, we will evolve Game Pass into a more flexible system. Oh, there's that term, flex. Oh man, Insider Gaming might have been on one there, which will take time to test and learn around. So also kind of a long-term commitment to Xbox Game Pass that like, hey, this is going to be here for a while and we're going to evolve it into a system. So they're not backing down from it. There are some tiers that they could do, like someone suggested a tier. I think it was Jez Corden actually, who we'll talk about in a little bit, but someone suggested a tier for Game Pass that just had first party titles in there.
They should be like, okay, the $50 tier is gonna be called the TISM tier. Okay.
And I think that could be interesting if they got, like, you don't get the whole library, but you do get just like first party day one stuff, and maybe that goes back to like $20 a month. Could see people being pretty happy about that. But there's more.
I decided to not show you a couple of things, but I actually have read a couple of articles surrounding what's happening with Game Pass currently. And one of the interesting things that I remembered reading was exactly about this. Okay, what did he say again? Specifically.
That goes back to like $20 a month. Could see people being pretty happy about that. But there's more here from IGN and stuff. And maybe that goes back to like $20. Get the whole library, but you do get.
Okay, yeah. He's talking about specifically the new releases. This is horrible. I just read an article that Xbox is contemplating removing Battlefield 6 from their early things, from Game Pass and whatnot, because it's not viable. Of course it's not viable. A subscription, everyone knew before Xbox did this that it's a horrible business idea, that they're going to lose money by putting Battlefield on Xbox Game Pass day one. Because everyone already owns Xbox from the people who play COD. So they're just missing out on sales for nothing, because all the people who play COD already own Xbox and are using Game Pass. So they're just literally destroying their own sales. And this has been confirmed with, like, I don't know how many articles about the collapse of the money that they made because of this. It was a disaster.
People being pretty happy about that. But there's more.
So they're never going to do a tier that literally just allows all the new games on it. Because if they would do this would have to be like $50 a month tier or something like that. It can't be 20. It needs to be like 40, 50 plus dollars. Because this means that people who actually play Xbox will, because most people use Xbox for the you can easily see this on Twitter and pretty much everywhere. The people who currently use Xbox and still use Game Pass, they're most excited about the new stuff that's coming out. They want to play it for free. They want to fuck around for 5 hours, and that's their value deal. Now, granted, is it actually a value deal? No, not really. But that does not matter here, because people like that. People like that. And so, if Xbox makes some kind of, oh, here's all the new game releases for you to play for free for a week, that cannot be $20, because that is going to be the super majority of Game Pass owners in that case. Instantaneously, no questions asked. It's going to become the most popular Game Pass style. So that thing would need to be $40 to $50. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Because that would probably cut Xbox game sales in half or more.
Here from IGN as they cover the report from The Verge. They write, Xbox Game Pass currently has 4 plans: Essential, Premium, PC, Game Pass, and Ultimate. The benefits and price vary for each. You can read our full breakdown. Okay, here we go. Sharma promised to go deeper with the Xbox team about the points shared in her memo next week, but her comments at least suggested that adjustments are in the works. Information included in the memo follows a separate report from late last month that they were hoping to make Game Pass more affordable. Meanwhile, the Verge report added that some of the service's recent prices that have increased are related to Call of Duty's presence on the service, though it's unclear if there are plans to change that. While players may be ready to breathe a sigh of relief if Sharma's alleged plan comes to fruition, there are no details about what shape the potential Game Pass revisions may take. And again, I'm a little skeptical about price drops just because that's what Phil did. I mean, Phil created a complete value system around Xbox. That was their identity. I was looking for the word, couldn't find it. That was their identity for this whole generation. I always go back to the one that you've heard me say a number of times, but yeah, like Xbox All Access and just being able to get your hands on like Xbox and Game Pass for like $45 and just walk out with like an interest-free payment plan. Like that's some good shit, dude. Phil and his team did that, and like people didn't show up. Like I think, you know, there was some truth to the idea of like it was only hot on.
Listen, I can't say that on YouTube, but even a certain community of America would not do that, okay? That's how stupid that idea is.
PlayStation in some cases, you know, they brought some of their games over. They did really well, and I think some of the brand damage to Xbox is really tough to undo, even if like you've just lowered the barrier to entry.
Also, is the biggest brand damage to Xbox honestly just wokeness? Because man, Xbox just raveled and existed in the wokeness for such a long time. They didn't. Xbox didn't have games. They still have no games. And the new games that they released for literally like 5 years straight were pretty much just woke garbage. Do you think that's the biggest brand damage Xbox has ever received? It literally was wokeness.
So much. I mean, Game Pass spoke for itself. Just third party day one, first party day one, tons of games. But I think the reality is, again, with Game Pass is like you can make it as cheap as you want, but just people have limited time. It's something I talked about with our mouse PI for hire video. Just people got limited time, and if they're going to spend it on one thing with that limited time, it's not going to be Game Pass because they don't need like 8 million games. They need one. And so if they could spend now $30 a month, certainly you could. A mouse PI for hire was $30, and that's a better spending of your money, I believe. Anyway, my mouse glazing aside here, let's get into kind of what was mentioned here at the end of the article, which was talking a bit about Xbox Game Pass potentially dropping Call of Duty. Why would they want to do this?
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, we already talked about it. We knew half a year ago that this was a disaster. There was article after article. Call of Duty undersold like 50% or something. Lowest selling Call of Duty in history. Partially because of Xbox, obviously. Anyway, that was Mr. Matty Plays. 10 out of 10. Bye.